Cousin Bichonnade in Flight by Jacques Henri Lartigue. There is a photograph taken sometime around 1905 that stops people in their tracks the moment they see it. A young woman, skirts billowing like wings, body leaning forward with pure abandon, appears to be flying down a grand staircase in a bourgeois Parisian garden. Her name was Bichonnade. She was a cousin, and the boy behind the camera was only about 10 years old. His name was Jacques Henri Lartigue, and he would go on to become one of the most beloved photographers of the 20th century. But what makes his story extraordinary is that most of his iconic images that feel like they belong in a museum, and indeed many of them do, were taken when he was still a child. Lartigue was born in 1894 in Courbevoie, just outside Paris, into an affluent and joyful family. His father was a wealthy businessman with an adventurous spirit, and he gave young Jacques one of the most precious gifts imaginable at the turn of the century: a camera. Lartigue received his first camera around the age of 6 or 7, and he took to it with an obsession that never faded. He photographed everything: his family racing primitive automobiles, his brother launching himself from homemade flying contraptions, boys in kite-propelled sleds, women in extravagant hats at the Bois de Boulogne. Lartigue's world was one of privilege, yes, but also of tremendous play. He approached photography not as documentation, but as a game, a way of catching life mid-leap. And that is precisely what he did with Bichonnade. Let us look at the photograph carefully. The setting is a private garden, most likely the family estate. Stone steps descend from what appears to be a mansion entrance. A classical balustrade runs along the right side of the frame, and ivy-covered walls fill the background with a lush, dark texture. The composition is architecturally strong, diagonal, dynamic, full of lines that pull the eye downward. And then there is Bichonnade herself. She is caught in a moment of absolute motion. Her long Victorian skirt, that full, sweeping silhouette of the Belle Époque, fans outward and upward as if lifted by wind or sheer velocity. Her dark jacket, with its fashionably puffed sleeves, is buttoned to the chin. She wears a flat cap on her head and a wide white collar at her throat, and she is grinning. Not posing, grinning, with genuine delight, with the face of someone who knows they are doing something slightly reckless and loves it. Her feet have left the step. She is, for this one fraction of a second, airborne. What Lartigue captured here was not merely a girl jumping downstairs. He captured the spirit of a world on the edge of transformation, a Belle Époque society that was simultaneously corseted and restless, formal and electric with new energy. By 1905, the automobile was arriving, the airplane was being invented, cinema was flickering to life in darkened rooms across Europe. The old world was beginning to run, or in this case, fly. But there is something else at work here, something that goes beyond history. Lartigue had an instinct, almost superhuman for a child, for the decisive moment. Long before Henri Cartier-Bresson would give that phrase its famous definition, young Lartigue was already living it. He understood intuitively that a photograph's power lies not in what is still, but in what is about to disappear. Bichonnade in flight lasts, in reality, perhaps a tenth of a second. Yet in this image, she has been flying for over 120 years. Lartigue's photographs were not widely exhibited during his youth. He kept them as personal albums, thousands of images, meticulously arranged, and it was not until 1963, when he was nearly 70 years old, that the world truly discovered him. The Museum of Modern Art in New York mounted a solo exhibition that year, and critics were astonished. Here was a body of work spanning decades, almost entirely self-taught, that radiated a warmth, a wit, and a technical brilliance that professional photographers spent careers trying to achieve. He lived to be 92 years old, and he photographed until nearly the end. Cousin Bichonnade in flight is, in many ways, the perfect Lartigue image. It is intimate and grand at once. It is frozen and yet overflowing with movement. It is the work of a child who understood something most adults never learn: that beauty is not posed. Beauty runs. Beauty jumps. Beauty catches air at the bottom of a staircase on an ordinary afternoon and grins back at you over its shoulder. Jacques Henri Lartigue pressed the shutter, and Bichonnade has been flying ever since. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this analysis, please subscribe and leave a comment below. What other works would you like to explore? See you next time.